I'm Dr. Lyle Lee. We're going to record concerning creation, the untold story. In order to explain Genesis on the first day of creation, we must read 2 Corinthians chapter 12 and in verse number 2. The Apostle Paul, he informed us about something that's not taught in Genesis creation story. And so here it is taught in 2 Corinthians, and we need this and the understanding of this knowledge in order to further the knowledge that Moses gave us in Genesis. I knew a man in Christ about 14 years ago. Whether in the body I cannot tell, or whether out of the body I cannot tell. God knoweth. Such an one caught up to the third heaven. Here the Apostle Paul tells us there is a third heaven. Now, the third heaven is explained as something that has always existed. We do not know of God creating the third heaven. We're not told that information. All we're told is that the third heaven existed. We are not told much about the third heaven at all, but what we have learned is that the third heaven, God dwells there, and in the beginning, there was no other creature, no angels, nobody in the third heaven with God while he dwelt there. We cannot say the third heaven had a beginning. We do not know if it's eternal either, because there is nothing written on the third heaven other than that it exists. However, Moses does instruct us with creation. This is the beginning of the second heaven and the first heaven and the earth. And we are going to study now, and we are going to comprehend that the third heaven is a sphere, and the second heaven was created underneath the third heaven as a sphere, and the first heaven was created underneath the second heaven as a sphere, and the planet Earth was then created also to dwell in that first heaven as a sphere. What we're going to learn from our untold story is that the earth is the center of the universe. Now I'm going to be reading from Genesis chapter number 1. Moses wrote a lot of metaphorical interpretation into the story of the creation account. And so we're going to go through Genesis chapter 1, bearing in mind that there are places we must interpret the creation story metaphorically. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. The heaven that God created in the beginning of heaven and earth was known as the second heaven. This second heaven is where the stars, the galaxies, the solar systems would later be created on the fourth day. God created the earth on the first day, and the earth was underneath water. while the earth